No. The ayes have it. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
58 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
43 votes.
Green Party.
Opposed?
ACT New Zealand.
5 in favour.
Maori Party.
Irima ngā pōti hei tautoko.
Progressive. United Future.
1 in favour.
Ayes are 113, noes are 9. The motion is agreed to.
Immigration Act 2009 Amendment Bill, third reading.
Call Government Order of the Day number 2.
Dairy Industry Restructuring Raw Milk Pricing Methods Bill, second reading.
Honourable Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Dairy Industry Restructuring Raw Milk Pricing Methods Bill be now read a second time. Mr Speaker, the Raw Milk Pricing Methods Bill was tabled in the House in October 2009. It had its first reading on the 28th of October 2009, after which was referred to the Primary Production Committee for consideration. The committee received and considered 11 written submissions and heard 9 oral submissions on the bill. This bill improves on the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act 2001 by providing more flexibility in the pricing and allocation of regulated raw milk, both now and in the future. The Dairy Industry Restructuring Act 2001 permits the Minister of Agriculture to make the regulations that require Fonterra to sell up to 5% of its milk supply to independent dairy processors. The Raw Milk Regulations 2001 currently require Fonterra to supply up to 600 million litres of raw milk to independent processors at a price determined by a formula in the regulations. The formula was originally required due to the historical industry practice of bundling milk and capital returns into a single payout for farmers. The industry has since moved on, and Fonterra now provides a distinct milk price which is separated from capital returns. It is now time for the regulations to move on to and adopt a more modern approach to pricing. Upon the passing of the bill, I will replace the old formula with the Fonterra Farmgate milk price plus 10 cents per kilogram of milk solids. The Fonterra Farmgate price represents the average price Fonterra pays farmers for raw milk across the season. The additional 10 cents per kilogram of milk solids represents some of the additional cost to Fonterra of providing independent processors with an even quantity of milk through the season. An even supply is more valuable than the seasonal or bell-shaped supply that Fonterra receives from its farmers. The new price will apply from the 1st of June 2010, the start of the 2010-11 dairy season. The new price removes the immediate mispricing of raw milk that was identified during the 2008 review of the regulations. Some submitters on the bill raised objections to the new pricing system as they were concerned about the impact of a price increase on their business. While this objection can be expected, the change is needed to ensure that independent dairy processors that buy milk under the regulations pay the same price that Fonterra pays its farmers for the supply of that milk. The new price will provide independent dairy processors with improved economic incentives to source milk directly from farmers where practical rather than under the regs. By promoting contestability in the market for farmers' milk, this new price better reflects the purpose of the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act to promote the efficient operation of dairy markets in New Zealand. The bill also allows regulated raw milk to be allocated through an auction system or any other method. This future-proofs the Act by providing extra flexibility in the way that regulated milk is allocated to independent processors. Developing a system for managing excess demand for regulated milk will become increasingly important over the next 3 to 4 seasons as the dairy industry is becoming increasingly diversified and the number of independent dairy processors has increased. An auction would provide one method for efficiently allocating regulated milk amongst competing processor demands and is one possible long-term solution to regulated milk pricing. Submitters on the bill mainly raised concerns about the design features of an auction system. These would be critical to ensuring that it produced efficient prices and resulted in an efficient allocation of the milk. If an auction system, Mr Speaker, is to be introduced in the future, then the Ministry of Agriculture will further consult the industry on the appropriate auction design features. MAF is currently reviewing the longevity of the entire pro-competition regime that regulates Fonterra. The review is looking at the regulatory regime to see it remains fit for purpose given the evolution of the structure of the dairy industry since 2001, and therefore it should be continued for longer than currently planned. If the review finds the raw milk regulations should be extended into future, then it may become necessary to introduce another mechanism for ensuring that regulated milk is both priced efficiently and allocated to those that it was designed to protect without discouraging important contestability in the market for farmers' milk. The flexibility provided by this bill means that a number of policy options, including an auction system, are now readily available through amendments to the regulations only. The bill also includes a provision to allow external documents to be incorporated by reference in any regulation made under the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act. The Primary Production Committee has recommended amendments to the incorporation by reference clauses in the bill to ensure that these are consistent with current standards, and I support these recommendations. Mr Speaker, this bill is about a more modern and flexible regulatory framework for pricing and allocating regulated raw milk. By promoting contestability in the market for farmers' milk, this bill builds on the purpose of the Dairy Industry Restructuring Act to provide the efficient operation of those all-important dairy industry and markets in New Zealand. Mr Speaker, I'd particularly like to thank the members of the Primary Production Committee for the hard work and effort that has gone into this bill. I think the Primary Production Committee, Mr Chairman, is respected as one of this Parliament's most effective committees for our most important agricultural industries, and that their work that has gone into the report that was tabled on the 22nd of February. Mr Chairman, Mr Speaker, I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Honourable Jim Anderton.
Mr Speaker, since 2001, the Minister of Agriculture has been able to require Fonterra to supply up to 5% of its milk supply to independent processors at a regulated price. This was brought about by the formation of Fonterra and the need to protect independent processors in competition with it. Fonterra, at the time, might have, and there were signs that it was, inclined to overprice those suppliers to independent suppliers. And so a regulated price was brought in to ensure that independent processors got milk supply and got it at a reasonable price. In fact, of course, in the event, the supply of milk to independent processors tended to be underpriced, if anything. And the cost of Fonterra's suppliers, cost of Fonterra and therefore the dairy farmers that supply it, was somewhere between $5 and $17 million a year, depending on the farm gate price that Fonterra paid at the time. In addition, the value of an underpriced milk supply was further enhanced to some independent processors by the ability they had to take advantage of the flexibility to increase or decrease the quantity of raw milk that they purchase through the season